Almighty God, who in thy infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and councillors for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor, as thy servant, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in thy presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests thou hast committed to our church, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. House resumes and debate continues. I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me the permission to stand to make my short intervention and contribution to the 2025 and 2026 budget. I also thank the Lord for health and strength and for his continued blessings and guidance. I also want to recognize all parliamentarians and my colleagues on the government side, and also my colleagues on the opposition benches. I want to also greet all Dominicans, both here and abroad, and to those persons who have made Dominica their home. I want in a very special way to greet my constituents, the residents of Bakers, Tebow, and Penville, who have continued to place their trust and confidence in me over an extended period of time. I want to thank them for their love and for their genuine concern and support. My love to them is certainly uncompromising. I also want to recognize the many citizens of Dominica and foreign nationals who have invested in Dominica. I think the private sector is an important player in the economic and social development of Dominica. And their continued demonstration and confidence in our country and our country's future is important. And I appreciate anyone who creates jobs in Dominica, anyone who invests in Dominica. And so I want to say to the private sector, we may not always agree on how we see things, and that is life, but we all agree on the fact that we all have to work together for the continued advancement to this country. And the government is very open to engaging you, as always, on how we can improve the environment for doing business in our country. I want to recognize also the many public officers, both past and present, who have provided human service to our country under trying circumstances at time, and they have stood the test of time and they showed their commitment. Many of whom have had the opportunity or will provide opportunities to migrate and chose to remain in Dominica. The police officers who brave the streets day and night to ensure and assure the security, and of course the seas of Dominica, to ensure and to assure of our security, our tranquility, and the peaceful nature which we know ourselves. And to the returning Dominicans, many of whom have transformed the social and economic landscape of so many communities, from Scottshead to Capuchin, from St. Joseph across to Lapley, who have built huge homes, brought in money, placed money in the banks, and are employing people, and they just sit there on a permanent vacation, spending money. These are the real tourists of Dominica, Mr. Speaker, the returning. And also I want to recognize a number of young people who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, who have not reached retirement age, who are investing in Dominica, building homes for their own personal use, investing in the rental accommodation, investing in commercial rentals. As this is clearly a demonstration of their commitment, but also recognizing that there are opportunities in Dominica. And they prepare themselves for this, and they're taking advantage of it. And I have seen, Mr. Speaker, a dramatic rise in the number of non-nationals who are settling in Dominica, buying land, building homes, investing. I want to say to them to bring all their relatives and friends and relocate to Dominica. We truly appreciate their investments in Dominica. And to the young people who continue to recognize that education is important, staying on the safe and narrow, and those who are not on the safe and narrow, we will continue to assist them to ensure that they can stay on the safe and narrow. We recognize that. To the clergy, recognize the continuous efforts towards shepherding our nation to the ultimate home, heaven, though if I were to say to them that I believe that they could do a little more in terms of interpreting the gospel and the scriptures in a more transparent manner, that would certainly help a little more. And to all of us in this country who continue to labor in the vineyard to the service of Dominica. In my own regard, Mr. Speaker, I returned to Dominica in 1997 from university. I did not receive a dollar from the government to go to school. I worked, and my mother also provided funds. And can you imagine changing francs into US? The sheer cost of it. And I got involved in the politics in 1998. The first meeting I attended in Rose Douglas was in a boathouse in Asolda. And sun flies biting you, and we had a bullseye for our light, bottle touch for light, the beer bottle with kerosene in it. And we hear listening to the articulation of the vision that Rosie had for Dominic. And this is the reason why I got involved. One of the reasons why I got involved in politics was to cause Rosie Douglas to become Prime Minister of this country, so he could have implemented his strategy and his vision for this country. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to, first of all, commend the Minister for Finance in what the entire nation believes. What the entire nation believes to have been a comprehensive budget. A comprehensive set of policies, programs, legislation, projects, which we believe, the country believes, will continue to spur greater economic growth in Dominica, for the creation of jobs and a better way of life for our citizens. That every person in our country can be given the contentment of a more dignified life, of a more elevated life in our country. That this budget provides hope for our young people. Hope that there's a government that is listening to the people of Dominica. Because all of these ideas that have been articulated in this budget, Mr. Speaker, did not only come from our heads. It came through consultation, engagement of people. And from them, we have been able to respond to their wishes, their ambitions, their goals, their aspirations, and their concerns. And so I want to thank the Minister of Finance, and I thought that he was exceptionally articulate in his presentation. Though I believe, Mr. Speaker, he may have been weak at the knees at some point, standing for 3 hours. So I was prepared to hold him up if he was going to fall back to his seat. But he survived the 3 hours and 4 minutes and 53 seconds. But The theme for this year's budget, and I want to say, Mr. Speaker, my contribution this time will be a bit different. In both tone and tenor. But the theme that the Minister of Finance recommended and has presented to the Parliament is, and I quote, balancing resilient development and fiscal discipline for sustainable growth. And this is important in these times, Mr. Speaker. This country knows what adversity is. And this government, based on its experience and its understanding of global events and its study of geopolitics, understands the challenges that lay ahead, but also is aware of the opportunities which exist. And this is why, Mr. Speaker, that there are times you may come out of crease and score 6. But there are times you have to stay in your crease and get the 6 singles. We have always said, and we have demonstrated so in our policies, in our programs, in our projects, in our legislation, that we are responsive to the needs of our people, but at the same time responsible. Because if we are not responsible, we run the risk of creating problems for our country. Problems which none of us in Dominica would be able to bear. And so for us to achieve the desired growth, we have to be fiscally prudent and responsible. You cannot go about, Mr. Speaker, as people know me, I am not a tax person. I don't believe in direct taxation. I don't believe in corporate tax. I don't believe in income tax. I don't believe in withholding taxes. That's my philosophical view. But I cannot impose that on the country and wreck the country's fiscal situation. And therefore, what we have been doing over the years is in an incremental manner, reducing the tax burden on our people. And later I will share with the public some of what we have done. But before I do so, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about Dominica, 45 years of economic growth, 1980 to 2025. Because I hear pundits saying that there is no growth in Dominica since Labour came in government. Nothing is happening in Dominica. We're not seeing it. They say facts are a stubborn thing. And numbers, Mr. Speaker. I'm a linguistic person, but today I'll do some numbers, Mr. Speaker. So I have taken the liberty of reviewing the growth rates over the last 45 years. And I want to present those to the country. In 1978, just we were wrecked by Hurricane David. And with the political upheaval, political instability of the country, there was a decline of 18.4%. So in 1978, the economy declined by 18.4%. The first 2 years of the Dominican Freedom Party, that is to say 1980 and 1981, the economy grew by 13.4% and 10.8% respectively. So in 1980, 13.4%, and in 1981, 10.8%. Over the next 8 years of the Dominican Freedom Party, that is to say, from 1982 to 1989, the growth rate averaged 4.2%. And in the last 5 years of the DFP, the economy grew by an average of 2.2%, and in its final year in government, 0%. Now let me go to the 5 and only 5 years of the United Workers' Party. When money was meeting money, they said, Mr. Speaker. In the 5 years of the Workers' Party, the average annual GDP growth rate was 2.6%. 1995, 3%. 1996, 3.6%. 1997, 2.2%. 1998, 3.8%. 1999, 0.4%. With no real natural disasters. The Lenny, I believe, happened in 1999, and we are the ones, when they came in government, who had to rebuild the country after Lenny. The only thing that happened during that time was a self-inflicted program. So then we came into government in 2000. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, the first 6 years of this government, was austerity program, stabilization program, the structural adjustment program with the IMF. First, we had a standby arrangement, which is a precursor to a structural adjustment program. Lasted about 2 years. And then we went into a 4-year structural adjustment program with the IMF. So in the first 3 years, the economy struggled with an average growth of 0.3%. That's during the first 3 years of the structural adjustment. Then over the next 6 years, growth climbed to an average of 4.6% per year. 4.6%. In 2000, the economy grew by 5.8%. In 2004, 4.1%. In 2005, 0.9%. We had the earthquake and we had some other issues there in 2005, 2004. 2006, 4.4%. 2007, 5.4%. 2008, 7.1%, Mr. Speaker. 7.1% in 2008. And here comes the financial crisis, which created havoc everywhere in the world. President Obama poured in hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in the banking sector on Wall Street to save the US economy. Every country that had money and could print money poured in money into the economy to respond to the financial crisis, which lasted from 2009 to about 2015. A prolonged period. In 2009, the global financial crisis forced a period of GDP stagnation. And in 2014, we registered a 2.3% increase. In 2015, Mr. Speaker, Tropical Storm Erica flooded away the assets of the country, valued at 96% of GDP. And 2 years later, and every time I reference Maria, I become emotional, Mr. Speaker. Maria damaged an estimated 226% of our GDP. An island state, Mr. Speaker, being subjected to so much, and yet still see where we are today as a nation. The struggle to find our feet, Mr. Speaker, saw growth rates of 3% in 2008, after Maria, and 3.9% in 2019. So this party in government has been a government of growth. We've always had growth in the economy, except the times of great adversity, shocks we had no control over. Shocks we had no control over. And then came COVID-19. That set us back severely, with a 15.7% decline in 2020. At that time, Mr. Speaker, our revenue dropped by 48%. Our expenditure increased because we had to put all the money into health, to buy test kits, to buy supplies, to pay nurses, to give people free meals every single day, free accommodation every single day. So money not coming in, but bills coming out. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, we're not saying so over any boats. We had one of the most comprehensive systems to treat the COVID-19, Mr. Speaker. We did not allow any stone to remain unturned to save our people, to save our people's lives, and also to save their livelihoods. So, and since 2020, we have since bounced back with an average growth of 6% per year, Mr. Speaker. It didn't take too long. COVID lingered until 2023. But because of our policy initiatives, allowing the economy to be open, people could go fish, people could go to the markets, people could go to the farms, construction work continued during COVID, we allowed the supermarkets to open, we allowed some businesses to open, there was economic activity taking place. We were one of the last countries to close our airport and our ports. I remember the member of Soufriere coming to me with great fear after the first case. And said, Prime Minister, we must close the country. Must close the country. So I said, Minister, but if you're fearful, you should go home and hide. But if I close the country, one case, what's going to happen when you get to 100? You understand? In 2021, Mr. Speaker, I'm thankful to you, Mr. Speaker. I know you've been admonishing us over the last few days, drawing to our attention the rules. So I'm hoping that I'm within the rules.
You are within the rules?
I'm within the rules.
Because other members have quoted performance in terms of GDP, debt to GDP ratio and growth and all that.
And my tie is not in violation of the rules either.
No. You can proceed.
I was concerned about I brought an extra tie in case.
No, I heard you came to my office, but I wasn't there. So I figured it's about the tie.
So in 2021, Mr. Speaker, the economy grew by 5.4%. In 2022, during the middle of COVID-19, Mr. Speaker, the economy grew by 10.4%. 10.4%. If you were to ask me, Mr. Speaker, are we where we ought to be as a nation? I'll be first to tell you no. Because you will not need to do anything unless the Lord comes to judge the living and the dead. Because life is evolving. You solve problem A today, problem B and C are on your doorstep. You go to bed and you wake up with COVID-19 affecting your country. You go to sleep and you're woken by flooding in the east. Just to clear landslides in Peter Soufriere and Good Hope and Sansoville. $5.8 million. To take soil from a road, put a dump truck and dump it. $5.8 million. Just like that. In 2023, Mr. Speaker, the economy grew by 4.7%. And in 2024, 3.5%. So there's growth in the economy. And if you want to check the data, you go to the World Bank website. You go to the World Bank. Not scary numbers that. World Bank numbers, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, history will record that there is no government in the history of our country, and there's no Caribbean government, Mr. Speaker, Caribbean country, that's had to deal with an unrelenting spate of natural disasters and external shocks like Dominica. We have been responding to COVID, to the financial crisis, to natural disasters for a 12-year span, Mr. Speaker. In my quiet reflections, I asked the Lord, I asked the Lord similar questions which Job asked him. And on top of the 12 years, Mr. Speaker, that we have been subjected to these external shocks, these natural disasters, we spent 6 years to build back the country, to correct the wrongs of the United Workers' Party when they were in government. 6 years. And in the process, the country lost, and the party lost 2 leaders, 2 prime ministers, at the service of the country. So 6 years plus 12 years, 18 years. 18 years, Mr. Speaker. And yet still, this Labour Party in government has had the best economic growth numbers in the history of our country. And one can only imagine, Mr. Speaker, if we did not have Erica, if we did not have Maria, if we did not have COVID to contend with and the international financial crisis, the sheer amount of money that we spend to restore damaged infrastructure, to restore homes, to restore livelihoods, Mr. Speaker. We could have had those monies to build anything now. At the time of Maria, Mr. Speaker, we had over $260 million in the Airport Development Fund. Because it was my desire as the Prime Minister of this country to be able to build the airport in cash. And at the time of Maria, we had $389 million saved. With the hope, Mr. Speaker, with the intention of paying off our national debt, in full. I wanted Dominica to be the first developing country in the world with no national debt, owing no one. And had it not been for Maria, not even Erica, COVID, Maria, we would have paid off all our national debt. And then what the plan was to go ahead and to create a sustainable development fund with clear legal parameters by an act of parliament. And we would have paid into that sustainable development fund as if we were still paying our loans. On average, we pay interest and principal about $140, $150 million for debt. In 5 years, multiply 140 by 5 and you tell me how much money we would have in the account. And that we would have built our economic independence, Mr. Speaker. But Maria affected this. And so we, in all things, give thanks. And so we give thanks, and we give the Lord thanks for giving us the fortitude and the ability to be able to respond to the impacts of Erica and Maria and COVID-19. And in respect to the GDP, 1980 GDP was 196 million. In 1995, it grew to 741.20 million. So you had a growth of $544 million during the Freedom Party days. An average growth of 36.31%. The ULB came in and met the GDP at 741. They took it to 900 million, a growth of $159.3 million, an average of 31.86 million. We came in 2000, met it at 900 million, and today, Mr. Speaker, it is projected to go to $2.02 billion. $2.02 billion, with a growth of $1,119 million, an average growth, annual average growth rate of 44.78. So when you're talking about growth, Mr. Speaker, they have to come good. And so I want to highlight a couple measures in the budget, Mr. Speaker. A couple measures in the budget. And this budget is so pregnant with opportunities, Mr. Speaker. Pregnant, and I challenge all people to read it. I want to go to agriculture. And the truth is, Mr. Speaker, there were essentially two budget addresses. One for agriculture and the rest. One for agriculture and the rest. And the reality is, what the Minister of Finance articulated there on the advice of the Minister of Agriculture and the Cabinet on agriculture are just highlights. They're highlights. They didn't factor in all the details. And so I want to say to the Minister for Agriculture that later this year, I will be planting 4 acres of cocoa and limes. 4 acres of cocoa and limes to add to my present cultivation, Mr. Speaker. So you want a rebate? I won't go for the rebate. No, I'll bypass the rebate. They just scary take off money. No, I'll pass the rebate. I'll pass the rebate. But one of the things I want you to highlight, Mr. Speaker, is the 300 acres of land, government land, that have been offered to young farmers, those who are existing and those who want to get into agriculture. So the government, Mr. Speaker, is offering young farmers at an exceptional rate of $1 per acre per year for the first 5 years. And those of us who are farmers know that most things bear fruit within 5 years. And with the technology that we apply, the practices of propagation, coconuts, 18 months, good water, good care, cocoa, 15 months, for good solid crop, 3 years, limes in 12 months, 18 months, trees of food, bananas, 8, 9 months, if it gets enough water, 12 months if it doesn't, ginger, 12 months, turmeric, 12 months. So you're gonna make money over that 5 years there before the government tell you it's $5 per year. You're making money on this thing. And this is, the land is one of the most important components of investing in agriculture. And if you were to buy agricultural land in Wesley, for example, because of the topography, because of the access to roads and services, the land in Wesley is almost residential lots because of access to them. You're talking about, Mr. Speaker, no less than 50,000 as 1 acre of land in Wesley. So if you go and you lease 3 acres of land, it means, Mr. Speaker, you won't have to find $150,000 plus transfer fees to invest in agriculture. All you have to find, Mr. Speaker, is $3, free coins. And you go to the treasury and you tell them, look your coins, Mr. Speaker. 3 coins. And most of us have coins all over the house. If you watch in your cup holder, in your vehicle, your coins like joke. So all you have to do is take his free coins from his vehicle, jump outside the vehicle, go into the treasury, pay this, get his receipt, and you go. So you move from $150,000, Mr. Speaker, to $3. This is facilitation. This is a government that understands and appreciates what it means to invest in young people. To give you not only a head start, but a jump start, Mr. Speaker. And coupled with that, you get almost free planting material, you get free technical advice, you get free technical support. Opportunities, Mr. Speaker. We're spending $5.7 million in abattoir. 5.7 million. 6.4, everything. $6.4 million in abattoir. And we have articulated in the budget, Mr. Speaker, it's available to the private sector. That's where a lawyer, that's where an accountant, that's where somebody who studied marketing at university, that's where somebody who studied agriculture can come together. Hone your skills and your talents and your knowledge, and it is available to you to manage, because the purchase and the sale of chicken parts and pork, the market is there. You don't need no marketing for this thing. You just harvest the chicken and they're on sale. This doctor, this orthopedic surgeon, Dr. George, has said to us that by this year, he will go to 5,000 birds. He's a medical doctor. So what's wrong for a lawyer coming and bring your legal skills and your interest in agriculture? What's wrong for a person with accounting background and agriculture come together, form a company, have the shares, and we're prepared to sit down with you and allow you to manage, because we never believe that the government should run anything, Mr. Speaker. We are a social democratic government. We believe in taking care of social justice, but we also believe that the private sector must be allowed to invest and manage economic things. So we invest in